Hello, and welcome back to another success story interview from the Conscious Dating Network. And the Conscious Dating Network is comprised of multiple online dating sites, including SpiritualSingles.com, GreenSingles.com, ConsciousSingles.com, and many others. And today it's my special treat and privilege to be interviewing this lovely, beautiful couple that just celebrated their 11-year anniversary, and they met on SpiritualSingles.com. So welcome, Annie and John.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you,
much.
Jill.
Pleasure.
Lovely pleasure to be here.
Ah,
A
it's
real pleasure.
so nice to have you here. And you guys met, well, you had your anniversary 11 years ago. So how long ago did you meet on Spiritual Singles, and who contacted whom first?
I got a wink, one of those, whatever it is, that's all. And I got fed up, to be honest. I was about to quit dating, and I said, I'll only answer if someone is a Course in Miracles student, which is a very profound work that we both do. And I looked at John's profile, Course in Miracles, Course in Miracles. I thought, wow! And I just sent him my phone number.
Straight away.
Exactly what you're not supposed to do, right? But you knew, you obviously knew, you sensed it. Did your intuition kick in, Annie, and tell you like, bing?
Absolutely.
And you checked me out.
And I'd also figured out who he really was. So I did a quick search, and I found John had just given a talk to one of the big conferences for this inner peace type of brain training. And it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. I realized he was a lovable rogue and a reformed rogue.
Nice. Wow. And then John, what was it about Annie's profile that made you, it's called indicating interest. So that's like you just indicated interest in her. Why?
Well, again, I was checking the site out, and I had the same feeling as Annie, that if somebody's a Course in Miracles student, at least they'll understand the concept of taking responsibility, 100% responsibility for all our emotions. That's a start, because I was fed up with being in the blame game. So I saw her profile, and I'll be very honest with you, I looked at her background and I thought, oh my goodness me, wow, how's she going to be interested in me? She's been a BBC producer, Panorama, she's made documentaries, she's won BAFTAs. Oh my God. And then I thought, oh, well, I'll give it a go. So, yeah, we did. And we're sure glad we did. So I overcame that. And then we met up for the first time.
So that's really interesting. That's actually really motivating. So when you first saw her profile, you thought she was a bit out of your league, and yet you were very drawn to her and attracted to her and impressed by her, and you contacted her anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think Annie will tell you, my intuition is mega strong.
Very good.
I call it my zing. And when my zing goes off, I know I have to follow whatever that is. And my zing definitely went off.
Also, the really fascinating thing is, when we actually got to talking on the phone, we realized we would have met anyway 5 days later. We were both booked in to listen to the same speaker at the same meeting of A Course in Miracles, and we were friends with the speaker. So it was like the universe was pushing us together.
Yeah, I mean, it really was, because I didn't know Annie, she didn't know me. And we both independently signed up, along with hundreds of other people, to listen to this speaker. So it's just crazy that we would have met anyway. And yeah, it was really wonderful.
Maybe. I mean, you're at the thing. How many people are there? And would you actually have spoken to each other? Probably.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think
so.
We would. Yeah.
I think so.
Because it wasn't just that. John also had he'd moved out of London, but he'd been a member. We have groups, that gather together to, experience the course together. And we were both on the same group. So we had a whole lot of mutual friends already
but independently.
Yeah,
Who
independent.
didn't know that we knew each other, which
And when we walked in together, they said, "Oh, we didn't know you two knew each other."
yeah,
Wow. Wow. That's just so, sometimes it's just destined. And obviously you guys are another couple that was destined. I mean, I got goosebumps when you were saying that. I still am getting them. It's just like, wow, you were, yeah.
well, I'll
So-
give you one quick one, which is a really, really big one, Jill. When I was a young officer in the Merchant Navy, we were patrolling the Mozambique Channel. I used to have to listen to the weather forecast because I was a deck officer. And as soon as the captain was away from the bridge, I would change the frequency and listen to the BBC World Service. And I used to hear this young woman delivering this, it was a travel program. And me being the ultimate romantic, I used to think, oh, she sounds so nice. Oh, I'd love to meet her one day. 60 years later, or 50 years later,
my first job at the BBC was working for World Service for this program.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh, well, talk about manifesting, right? You put it out there a long time ago and it finally came to be. And I'm so happy that you met on Spiritual Singles. That makes me tickled because it was going to happen, but I'm glad that it happened through Spiritual Singles. That's great. Wow. Well, congratulations. So how long ago did you actually meet? When was that? What year?
That was easy, isn't it? August the 29th. It was my youngest daughter's birthday. 2013. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And that is, we count our anniversary as that moment, not when we got married.
Yeah.
So our 11 years is since we met, because we haven't been apart since.
We met in a cafe in London and we walked out from that first meeting hand in hand, and we've been together almost 24/7 since. And we've been all over the world in goodness knows how many homes.
We have been adventuring.
My goodness. And where were you living back then?
I was living in West London, and
I was living in Sussex.
In Sussex.
About 40 miles away.
Okay. So what, an hour drive or less?
Yeah.
I catch the train, train 40, 50.
Okay.
But then I knew I wanted to live beside the sea, and I was busy looking for a place in Eastbourne, and that's where John wanted to live. So that's what we did. We bought a place in Eastbourne.
That was
together.
The first place together.
Well, we rented a place initially.
Yeah.
So how long did you communicate? Did you email first? How long did you communicate before you met in person?
Well, not long.
5 days.
We emailed, and then about 5 days later, we knew about this talk, and then we met then about 5 days, I guess.
5 days. It was very quick.
Very quick. And the funny thing was, when we met, we both said, you know what, we'll take this slowly. That old joke, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans.
That's awesome. So apparently it didn't go very slowly. What happened next? And so you ended up dating, falling in love, you moved to the sea, you bought a house together, and then what happened?
Well, before that, it was quite interesting because I was coaching. I was assigned to Cape Town to coach the Africans in the township, mind coaching, right? But using football, because that's my passion. And I'd already been assigned to go down to South Africa, which I did, to coach these lovely guys from the township. And I happened to say to Annie, look, why don't you come out and visit? Come out and visit me. And she came out. And that's when I started to introduce her to, let's call it the woo-woo stuff, like crystal healing.
This is a very funny story too.
Oh yeah, tell that part of the story.
Right. Now I'm being a scientist and trained that way. Very but John encouraged, so for the Christmas, he bought me a crystal healing session. So I go down to this lovely lady called Robin, and she takes 1 or 2 details. She knows I'm John's girlfriend, age, any medical issues, boom, that's about it. And I'm on this couch, she's putting the warp stones on me and the crystals, and it's fun, I'm enjoying it. Then she suddenly says, who's Bill? And I said, oh, well, my late husband was called Bill. And he said, well, he wants you to know that he approves of John and you have met your match.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now you have to realize I'd been doing online dating for nearly a decade.
Whoa.
I had met at least 400 men in that process.
Oh,
Met and had a coffee, just coffee.
Some of them.
really?
Yeah, she kept notes on them and all.
I did.
So that's really, really cool. So John, you were doing mind coaching, and Annie, you mentioned brain sex. So you both had the mind, the brain in common, but it sounds like you were from different angles. So
Absolutely.
kind of curious about the brain sex a little bit. What's that about?
We were perfect. I always had two careers running. I went to Oxford. I have a doctorate. I was doing neuroscience. They didn't call it that then, but my focus was on the gender differences in the brain and how we think and putting it to practical use. So I also made documentaries about it. So I got a few documentaries about gender differences and other books as well but brain sex is the one that really spells out the emotional differences and how men and women tick. Very much about helping guys get in touch with that emotional side because they're very much trained not to express emotions, and helping guys to express them more. And women tend to not understand and think that they're not being listened to and the sort of thing, because men hear differently. And the brain, women have language on both sides of the brain, so are amazingly able to pick up two different conversations at the same time. Guy only has one area. So if you want to talk to him, make sure he isn't reading the newspaper because he won't hear you.
He might pretend he can't hear you.
I give you that too. Once his language side is focused on one thing, it's very hard for him to hear something else.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There are so many things like that I used to teach.
I think the thing that surprised me or really interested me was Annie had found out that anybody, any human, can have a male brain or a female brain predominantly. So you could have, for example, I have a very feminine brain.
He's much more feminine than the average man.
Yeah. And a woman can have a more masculine brain, you know. It doesn't mean they're not, you know, feminine or masculine in their being, but the way they think. I mean, I've got what would be traditionally just considered to be female. I'm very intuitive. I can walk in, I can see somebody. It's almost like I know something without having to know the facts.
Mm-hmm.
So you can have, your brain sex doesn't necessarily match your body sex.
Yeah, that's it.
Very interesting. And I used to go into BP and all the big companies to help their teams have a sexual balance, because it was on the brain sex you have the balance, not on the outward appearance of gender.
So you could be building a team in your business and say, oh, I want this balanced team, male and female, and have 4 males and 4 females, and not realize that you've actually got 8 male brains or 8 female brains.
Wow.
And you have a book on this, Annie, you said?
Yes, it's called Brain Sex, the real differences between men and women. It's very old now, but the information in it is still completely accurate. But there's even more now, modern science, about the whole neuroscience of the brain, which confirms it, really.
It was a very big hit. I mean, Annie was on the front page of USA Today because it was so controversial.
It was very controversial at the time. I got eggs pelted at me occasionally.
No, really? Oh my God.
By the ultra feminists. They did not like me at all.
The feminists didn't like you. Oh my gosh, that's interesting. Well, it sounds like you were pointing out why women can multitask better too, because we can focus on more things at once than a man.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would think they would like that. Like, hey, yeah, that's good.
Oh, some of them did. Listen, I considered myself to be a feminist. I believed in equal opportunity for both sexes,
Which
or
is
for
right.
anybody, you know, the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Yeah, of course. So, and how young are you guys now?
Uh,
I like to say my carbon-based form is 78 going on 79.
Okay, nice, nice.
mine's 76.
Wow. So you're just a few years apart too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. And you've been in these fields for a long time. So this is quite a treat for our listeners because you guys are really, you're experts in this field. So, and you teach about relationships. So let's go back to the early days of your relationship when you first were meeting and getting to know each other. Did you, like most people when they come together, did you have triggers come up? And, you know, relationships are so good for that mirror to be put up in front of us and for us to see what we still need to heal and learn and grow from. So how did you overcome your triggers if you had them? I'm sure you did in the beginning, and tell us a little bit about how that went.
How about that? Do you think the story about the dog?
Louis. Well,
that
it
too
may
complicated?
be complicated. I think the first thing to share with our viewers is that we had a lot of background knowledge in this, and I was trained in it. I was trained in family systems theory, and I had a diploma in therapeutic counselling. So I knew a lot about childhood stuff, triggers. Transference is the big thing, okay? And this is where we get, in my book, I explain it in the very simple terms. I say that when your emotion is out of proportion to the event, that's always a red flag that emotion is not about the here and now, it's about something way back. And I give an exaggerated example. I say, if you're in the supermarket checkout queue and somebody accidentally steps on your toe and you turn around and whack them in the face, I would suggest that is out of proportion to the event. That's a sign that it's a trigger of a memory deeply embedded in the subconscious, which is suddenly triggered. And then you react in the way that you wanted to react at the original thing, but of course you were too young, you didn't know you could, or you couldn't really because you were too small, and what have you. And that was a big help. So whenever we got triggered like that, what we do, we stop, we close our eyes, and we ask a question. We say, when was the first or worst time? Well, first we identify the feeling, whether it's anger, whether it's jealousy, whether it's fear, whatever the emotion is, we anchor that. And then we say, when is the first and worst time you ever experienced this? And a memory will pop in, because when we ask, we always receive. And the memory will pop in, and then we reprocess that original memory. And just for me, just the realization where that's come from, it clears immediately.
I think there is the Father Christmas one is a simple, really good example.
Yeah. And you see, because the universe is always collaborating to heal everybody, always. So it organizes things without us understanding. We had a call, we were in South Africa, and I had a call from a very good friend of mine. I hadn't heard from him for a long time, and out of the blue, he calls me up in South Africa and says, "John, you've got to watch this movie, a movie called Bad Santa." And he went on about it. He said, "It's fantastic, you've got to watch it." Anyway, Annie and I decided that night we'll watch it. The lead up to that, we were going to do our very first teaching workshop together. We'd only been together a couple of weeks, but we designed a relationship workshop, and we were doing that and preparing for that the next day. Anyway, we sat down and watched this movie, and after the movie was over, I said, "Why did Mark recommend that movie?
It was awful.
This was stupid. It's just ridiculous. It was ridiculous." Anyway, the next minute, Annie goes into, "I can't do this workshop tomorrow. I don't know it. You know all this stuff. I don't know anything about it." And of course, I always recognize when a person is what I call in their child. Annie even spoke like a child. Her physical actions were like that of a frustrated child. And I said to her, "Hang on, let's use this. Hang on, what's happened?" And in this scene, will you tell the rest
Well,
of
what happened? So,
it in the film?
so we do this, you know, when was the first and worst time I had this feeling? And my feeling was of being completely worthless and having done everything wrong. That's what I felt. And so we did this thing, and then suddenly in popped this incredible memory, and it was vivid, vivid. I must have been about 4 years old, 4 or 5 years old. I lived in Yorkshire. My mum always took us at Christmas time to Brown and Muff's, the department store, to see Father Christmas. And I'm sitting on Father Christmas, and he's just given me my present, and I pee on him. And he takes me off. He says, "You disgusting child, you've just peed on me. Take her away." And my mother is absolutely mortified and says, "Annie, why did you do that? That's awful. Oh, you didn't need to do that. You could have said you wanted to pee." Boom.
Yeah. Anchor.
In the movie,
Movie,
exactly
the same scene. A little girl had peed on Father Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So that's just
that's why the movie got to us.
That's why it was given to us.
Yeah.
That's why we have a saying, everything is happening for our own benefit, you know.
And then after that, I was fine doing the seminar.
Yeah. Oh,
we got down, we were working out, you know, a little vague structure. We don't structure that much. We're very intuitive in how we do things. But we have a little structure between, you know, who's going to handovers, really. And it was fine. We had a fantastic day.
Fantastic workshop. We got tremendous feedback. But I knew, you know, it's about having that understanding of the way somebody's talking, their phraseology and all of that is coming from the child. And there's a great saying, you know, in the absence of clear communication and information, the child part of us will always make up the worst. So when we don't have clear instructional information, but it was a classic example of transference, you know.
Yeah.
Transference.
Well, and that it goes into that taking responsibility, because when we can fully take responsibility for our emotions and our reactions, you know, it's like when something comes up, we don't necessarily have control over that thing that comes up, but we do have control over our reaction. So when we're triggered from something in childhood, then we have to, or we can choose to sit back and go, all right, I'm being triggered right now. Why? Right? Let's go back. I like you're saying it was, when was the first and worst time this happened? This feeling came up? Was that it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's really helpful, because when people come into relationships, especially when it's new, these triggers are bound to come up because it's an opportunity to heal what hasn't been healed as a child. And like you said, the universe brings us exactly what we need to heal. So it might not be so fun, but if we keep that in mind of, all right, there's my chance, here's my opportunity to heal it, rather than, you know, a lot of people will get defensive. Like, I like how you guys pointed out, like with each other, hey, is this, you know, what's going on now? Let's look at this. Let's try our thing. And because otherwise, if people get defensive, it just goes nowhere.
No,
nothing, right? No growth, no learning, no lessons, nothing, just blah.
That's it. And that's one thing we also, right at the beginning of our relationship, we both made an agreement with each other. We did agreements, and that was we gave each other the clear, ongoing permission to always reflect back if something comes up. So you're not giving unsolicited advice, which is often disguised anger when you're giving unsolicited. So we each have clear permission to question the other, you know, what's happening? Is this happening? Have you tried this? Whatever. So there's no question of saying, oh, I didn't ask for your input. That is an open invitation to both of us.
Okay, so I like that aspect too. So giving each other permission to, when the other is triggered, to point it out, and by asking questions like, hey, what's coming up for you right now? What's going on? Is this a trigger? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so you don't accuse the other of trying to be your therapist. You're not my therapist, and that kind of stuff. And the other thing I think is really helpful, Jill, is when you know that it's going to be the relationship's going to be a goer, you know, you're going to be, is to create a sacred space, put a candle lighting or whatever, and have a dedicated time with each other where each partner sits opposite each other and then tells their whole life story, especially their childhood story. And the rule is that the person listening, the couple, the one of the couple that's listening, says not one single word. No raising of eyebrows or any facial, just listens, deep listening. And then you switch over and the other one does their story. The benefit of that is you get to know what your beloved's trigger points are, because we all have different ones, you see. And then Annie's, for example, being a committed academic all her life until she made the change, she was always trying to get it right. You know, if she didn't get it right, there was going to be a problem. You know, she either get kicked out of the class or she gets struck off the list or whatever. So for her, being made wrong or correct is a very gentle thing. So it doesn't mean you can't point things out. It means you can become ultra sensitive to how to do that.
The sensitive points, knowing the sensitive points.
And my one is not being believed. Yeah. My one is not being believed because I came from an alcoholic home, alcoholic mother, and you know, I'd see her doing things. I'd say, "What are you doing there, Mum?" And she'd go, "What do you mean? Nothing. I'm not doing it." And my own eyes could see her pouring the gin from an aspirin bottle into her tea that I've just brought her. And I'd say, "What did you just put in your tea, Mum?" "Nothing. Do not question me," you know. So my deep trigger is not being believed, you know.
Okay, so do you guys feel that when you, like, even stating that, I like to say my trigger, it used to be. So I'm not reinforcing it anymore.
That's a great point. Great point. Thank you for reminding me my language. Yeah, it used to. I have a little, so I always tell my clients if they say something which is not quite positive, it's negative, I will say up until now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It used up until the freaking minute before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then it's totally honest too. And you're not just, you know, lying to yourself. It's actually, yeah, right until now. It was that way. And now it's this way.
That's it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And also remembering that in my book, I make it very clear that most people don't understand that the purpose of relationships, you know, we're sold this story, the love story, you know, in the magazines and the movies and all this, that you fall madly in love and it's happening. No. The purpose of relationship is to support each other in their healing of forgetting who they are. Just in the moment, I'm going to help remind Annie who she truly is, and she reminds me when I get into my negative ego, you know, beat me up and I'm saying I'm useless and worthless and all this. And that still happens occasionally, you know. So we don't pretend to be gurus or anything like that. We're just committed to the work and we love it. And I always say it's a wonderful way of living consciously, you know. Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living.
Exactly. Hear, hear. Well, it's just so beautiful that over the years, you guys have been focusing on this, teaching it, healing it, and then to come together at all in your you know, not necessarily young years, let's just say, and to spend the rest of your lives together in love is such a beautiful thing. And then I think also I can guess that you don't have a lot of stuff come up anymore, and you're focused on fun and play and travel and visiting family. Like you're in England right now visiting family.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's exactly right. Very rarely does something come up. We're grateful. We don't go, we're grateful for it. But our life's intention is joy, because when we realize that joy is our natural state, and if we're not in joy, it's only ever because our thinking is not right. It's nobody else's fault. And that we have a choice. Somebody said to me today, you know, it's been pouring down with rain here today. And somebody said to me, "Whoa, what horrible weather." And I said, you know what? It's raining. Horrible is my choice.
Exactly. Exactly. I know. It's so true when people complain about the weather or things that they can't change. It's all the perception of, I love rain myself. Like when I moved to Portland, Oregon, a long time ago, and I'm from San Diego originally, so we didn't hardly have any weather in San Diego. So when I moved to Portland and it rained a lot, or in Florida where they had these big thunderstorms every afternoon, I was in heaven, and people just thought I was so weird because I was like, oh, it's raining. It's so excited. But it's all our choice. Like other people would think, oh, it's crappy weather. But
Yeah.
no, it doesn't. It's all how we perceive it and how we choose to see it. Because we can make it's like the glass is half full, right? We can make anything positive and good, even these hard lessons that we're learning, is a gift.
Yeah. And our absolute focus and determination every day is to feel good. That is our focus. We want to feel good. And when we don't feel good, it's only ever because of something that's going on within us. So we can we can feel good in any situation. And you might feel sad or whatever, but you go through that. But when feeling good becomes your real determination, and we have another very lovely tool, we call it the 4 C's, that we are committed to letting go of what we call the 4 C's. And they are criticism, complaining, controlling, and comparing.
Wow,
It's a big shout. It's
yeah.
a very, very big shout. But just by having that commitment and that awareness.
Let's go over those again. Criticism, complaining, something, and comparing. Controlling and
big one.
A big one for sure.
And comparing.
Okay, right. Those are all super. That's so important. I love that. I'm gonna borrow that one.
Yeah,
Good. Yeah. So these days, so where are you living now? You're in Spain, right?
We are, but we move around a lot.
Yeah.
And we're about to have another move, I guess.
Back here. Yeah,
We're going to come back.
Oh,
So
you're
we're
moving
back to England, yes.
Okay. And then, but you said you had multiple houses in other places. So do you travel from?
No, we stay in people's houses. Like for the moment, we are pet sitting. We're looking after this lovely wee dog here. So we do that a lot. So we landed up living in the Canary Islands for 5 years and got locked down there, which was wonderful.
Which started by a house sit.
We did a 3-month house sit in the mountains.
We were looking after a 95-year-old human ear dog, a great big Great Dane that was bigger than Nanny. 7 cats. One of them had all sorts of illnesses. 75 chickens, 4 goldfish, and 2 donkeys. And we looked after those for 3 months. And I'll tell you, we were happy with that one.
Yeah.
That's a lot, yeah. But I'm sure
we decided we would limit our number of animals after that.
But it's all fun. We do make a commitment to have fun wherever we go, whatever we encounter.
That's great. Do you use one of the house sitting websites where you find I've used those too. That's fantastic.
Oh, that's some amazing ones. Mind My House is our favorite one.
Yeah. What's it called?
mindmyhouse.com.
Oh, okay. I don't know that one. Thank you. Okay. What about health? I'm curious, since you guys seem like you're in really good health, do you have any health tips? I mean, a lot of it comes from the mind, right? And are getting up.
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. I would agree. And so you're telling yourself that you're young, vital, fit, healthy, things like that. And what else? What other health tips might you be able to?
I think eat well, of course. We have a sort of mixed veggies green smoothie for breakfast, which is actually delicious. I do a yummy one, and so nuts. Fruit and nuts.
No alcohol, no cigarettes.
Yeah.
Not that we have anything against anything, we don't judge it, but it doesn't work for us. I would say the other thing we do is the mental stuff. The first thing, the minute our eyes open in the morning, we join hands and we say, today is a beautiful day. I have everything within me to handle anything and everything that comes my way with calmness, tranquility, grace, and appreciation. I feel great physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. It's great to be alive. I thank God for all good things.
Oh, man. I love it. That is a great way that's the most amazing way to start the day I've ever heard. Good job.
Yeah.
We have a whole process of things we do in the morning.
Yeah, we do about an hour's work
Yeah.
of mind stuff, you know,
Yeah.
in the morning, just processing the
But,
mind.
but there is something I would like to talk about because it's about sex. And it was
Okay.
something that John introduced me to, right? I loved sex. I loved conventional sex. I have no bones about it. I loved it. But when we first actually got round to this, John says to me, I do it a little differently. And he explained to me he'd had a lover that had taught him slow sex. And what a revelation it was to me. It was the best sex I'd ever had, but it was completely different. And then after that, we were so into it, we did a whole training in it.
12 days.
12 days with this wonderful, it's called Making Love for Couples. And it was fantastic.
Amazing.
So we make love every day.
You give us all the secrets away, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
This is the other thing we like to share.
Yeah.
You
So-
don't have to, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Describe slow sex though. That sounds really, really good.
Well, there's a couple of things, okay? I mean, I'm staggered really when I look at the figures of the sales of ED, erectile dysfunctional drugs like Viagra and Cialis. And all. When you see the figures, I'm talking billions of dollars, not millions, billions. And I say now, I said, wow, if I could just tell all these men and their women, there's nothing wrong in having a soft penis. You don't need an erect penis to have
Good sex.
fabulous sex.
Okay.
Fabulous sex. And that was a revelation. And to credit Michael and oh, forget her name. What was Michael's name? In Switzerland, the couple.
Oh, I've got a blank too.
Yeah, I've got a blank too. Anyway.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
It'll come to me.
Yeah, they actually demonstrate, not with people, but with models and about
Diana Richardson.
Diana and Michael Richardson. And it's true, you see, because very often, because of our conditioning, everything, our minds are full. I've got to feel this, I've got to get that, I've got to get this. So we're not in our body. We're in here.
It's goal-driven. Conventional sex is goal-driven, and therefore it has a lot of nervousness about it.
But not only that, the biggest thing, when I was taught this by this lovely German lady, she said, look, your job is not to please me. And I thought, whoa, that's new. She said, no, your job is to please yourself. You focus on your own sensation. I'm going to focus on my sensation, and the combined energy of the two of us not worrying about the other person's sensation creates a magnificent joint sensation. And do you know something, Joe? It was like she had taken a 10-ton weight off my shoulders. My whole life I'd been, wrapped up in this performance anxiety and all the rest of it. Finished, gone, none of it. And like we say, we do it every morning. It's the way we start the day. But it really sets us up for a good day.
Yeah.
We call it the pop-in.
Yeah.
The pop-in.
Yeah, just pop in. Pop
Just
in.
pop in.
And I honestly think, the sexual act is really a symbolic act of joining with the divine, the non-physical element. We know we can't do it. We can't actually do that, but we are at the level of mind. We're all one. All minds are joined. Bodies not. But we spend a long time trying to get those bodies to join in various ways. But it's just wonderful to be free of all those anxieties. And I think, my God, that's where I was. It was like, it's taken 30 years off my life.
Wow.
We have a website. We call it innocentsex.org.
Innocent sex, yeah.
Okay, and this explains everything and goes into...
It gives you a little bit about it. Obviously not the
a-
detail that we're talking about.
Okay, I want to ask a little follow-up question on that, John, and I also want to get to your book too before we wrap it up. You mentioned that that a soft penis is okay for sex, and I think our listeners are probably going to want to know a little bit more about that. Would you want to expand on that a little?
Yeah. I mean, I can be pretty explicit. This is not going on the 6 o'clock news after all.
It's
But I
only
mean,
you.
the first thing is to do everything slowly and to understand that the breasts of a woman are the main opening channel, and to spend a good length of time massaging the breasts, right? Now, the difference between, this having this information is that when I'm massaging Annie's breasts, there's not one part of my mind now thinking about arousing her. That's the difference. What I'm doing is I'm conscious of the beautiful sensation it is in my hands. So my whole focus is on that. So I'm not there saying, oh, I've got to do this because I want to arouse her. But the effect for Annie, you can explain.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. And I think also the effect on John when he does it, it creates an erection.
Oh, yeah.
We often have sex with full erection.
It's
too.
the energy joining, you see.
Yeah.
And then when you do have penetration, you do it slowly.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, millimeter by millimeter, for the whole 15 centimeters. That's just my views. But no, seriously, joking apart, just very, very slowly. And oh my God, because you're so focused on your own sensation, it's unbelievable. And I'm quite noisy there because, and then when it's time to come out, it's like, oh, I don't want to stay here forever.
It's a completely different sensation for me as a woman. The slow penetration is really, it's exquisite. If you've had enough breast milk, it really makes a big difference. Your whole body becomes alive. So you're having multiple orgasms all over your body. It's very hard to put it in words. It's an experience.
Well, for example, the interesting thing is, if I can just come in, do you remember Thanasis? This is a guy.
Oh yes, he's one of the guys we taught.
He's given us permission to share his name. So he's a lovely young man. So this is working with a single on his own. We had one session with him, just explaining all of this, just like we've explained it to you. We told that. And when we finish this call, I'll send you the review that he put. It makes you, bring you to tears what he said in the thing. That's after 1 hour. So you don't have to be some tantric guru for this.
Right.
Everybody can. They've just got to be open to it and letting go of all the programs of shame, guilt that we've had as children. Being able to be aware of them, and just say, okay, they didn't know what they were saying or doing. Forgive them. And no, it's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of long ago I learned about receiving touch. So even when you're petting a cat, it's you're happy to connect with the cat. However, you're petting also because it feels good to pet the cat. You're receiving that touch. And well, yeah, we could make an analogy there with using a different kind of cat, right? So, but that's, what about for singles? Because we will have singles watching this interview as well. Do you have any tips to, get in touch with the physical body, release shame and blame and all that, all the crappy emotions that some people are still holding around sex and sexual expression? What do you recommend?
Well, I think the first thing, Jill, is always talk about it. Just talk about it. You don't have to rush into things, but you can just talk about things and let people express it. There may be tears, there may be all sorts of emotions, and welcome all the emotions. But just I always say all the problems that we have, they're all in here. And if you can get them out of here and onto a piece of paper, or what I call onto a very benevolent witness, like your lover, your partner, or somebody you trust, that's helped. So I say, just talk about it. Talk about your fears. If just by talking about something, I'm really afraid of that knocks the power out of it.
Right.
I think as a signal, you can use self-pleasuring is a wonderful thing to do, and you can do it the slow way. And you can learn ahead of meeting a partner the glories of the slow sex.
Absolutely, because that's one of the things I think the traditional way of self-pleasuring for a man, and probably a woman as well, is quite vicious and violent, and you know, it's quite, you know, what's the word, aggressive in a way. And I think over a period of time, the penis and in the clitoris of the woman can become desensitized, and it takes time. So it's about being patient for that to come alive again. And they're like two mates. They talk to each other, you know.
And I think it's good to keep in mind this business of desensitization, because having made love the conventional way, it does take time for you to develop that sensitivity in the vagina and things. And but again, patience and understanding and the realization that there's nothing wrong with you. So many of us are told, you know, as you said, the shame and things about just even being naked. Getting naked with other people in a non-sexual way is very liberating too.
We've
really.
done courses. We've done courses involving that as well. Yeah. But it's realizing that great sex doesn't have to be that exciting thing, but it's so sensually pleasuring, you know.
I love it. Do you guys teach this still now, or do you have classes or workshops on this sort of thing?
Well, we
less now.
We did at the beginning, but you know, we're great believers in that we don't push anything. We don't push the noodle. We always say we don't push the noodle. But if people come forward and ask us, but you know, the sad thing is, so many people still find it very difficult to talk as we're talking over there. I mean, classic example: when we were in Eastbourne, there was an author's cafe, where the woman that ran the cafe, she used to encourage authors, local authors, to put their books in there. And we went in there one time, and she said to us, she said, and she was a woman, probably 40, 45 years old. She said, "Oh, what do you guys teach? What do you write about?" We said, "We write about sex." And she went, oh, I don't want to hear that. Oh, I don't want to hear that. You know, and I just, my heart went out to her. I thought, you know, where did that happen? What happened there? So we're very, if people want to know, we share it.
I think we're focused really on our intention is to do a book about it, really. But because John's been busy doing this one, it's been put aside a bit for the moment.
This one is out and published now. Now I'm going to do another one about how, when you know how to use your mind and your thoughts, you can transform a soccer club, a football club, as we call it, soccer club, because that's my passion as well. It's a real passion, you know. And I hear them just from their talking, what they talk. I think, oh my God, change your mind. You can
everything. It's in our life. I catch myself thinking something. It could be anything. Like, oh, that's hard. That's going to be difficult. I've got all these challenges in front of me, and then I catch myself and I go, nope, cancel clear. It's easy peasy, fun, and just shifting that energy and focus is huge. And then when you're wanting to manifest something, what are your, well, I still want to get to your books too, like the book you just released. Let's go there, and then let's talk a little bit about manifestation, and then we'll probably wrap it up.
Okay. So the book I've just released is called Miracle Relationships, A Path to Freedom and Joy. And it's published by John Hunt Publishing, which I think they've changed the name now to Collective Ink. It's available on all book sites, you know, Barnes, is it Barnes and Noble you have in the States? Yeah, Barnes and Noble. Yeah. Amazon all over. And there's a Spanish version for Spanish speakers. It's been very popular in Spain. It's called Relaciones Milagrosas, which is Miracle Relationships. And that's the Spanish version. And it's a thin book. It's easy to read. It's about 95 pages. And it's meant to be simple and easy to read, and to give a basic understanding of the purpose, the trajectory of most relationships, and how they can be healed. And it's proved very.
I mean, I'm, you know, as someone on the outside, I mean, obviously I'm a little biased, but what I think is amazing about it is he's combined really complex psychological studies and research into a really simple, easy to understand, but full of how-to-dos. It's a book that stimulates experiences, and you only learn when you experience things, really. I mean, all the learning I did wasn't real learning.
It's got some lovely reviews at the beginning, when
Yeah.
it's very good from some big, high. Have you heard of Alan Cohen?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So Alan Cohen gave me a beautiful review. He's
On the back.
on the front.
It sounds fantastic. I'm going to get it myself. It sounds like a winner, huh? Thank you.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And then just a few tips on manifesting, because I know I assume you guys are pros at manifesting, and you've obviously created a beautiful life together and traveled and seen the world and done workshops and written books. And just amazing teachers, coaches, healers, lovers you are. So give us some tips on manifesting. What are your best?
I think the best piece of manifesting ever is that John manifested me.
Yes.
This is really funny. When we were going back and forth to South Africa, John had left his knapsack and he wanted me to do it. And I was rumbling around in it. I found this sheet of paper, right? And he had listed everything he wanted. And some of them are very detailed and difficult. He wanted a woman who had no children.
Because I have 6.
Right.
So
he wanted a woman who loved football and understood it.
Didn't just want to come to keep me company. I wanted that. I wanted something that really understood, I could relate to.
Absolutely everything on that list is me.
Every single thing. Everything. And the way I did it, because you wanted some tips, is I say to all my clients, you get a piece of paper and you start off, and every line starts with, I'm so happy, appreciative, and excited that I now have a beautiful partner, blah, 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 blah. I am so happy, appreciative, and excited that my partner has no children. I'm so happy, appreciative, and excited that my partner loves football. I'm so happy, every single thing, single thing. And then I got into all the personal stuff as well. I put all that in, because I wanted somebody that was a woman that really enjoyed sex and enjoyed the physical side of it, because I'd had different experiences, which I forget about all that. But that's what I wanted. So I put down every single element.
Except you missed one thing, which is really funny.
That's the funny part, because I have a history. I'm 6'4", and I have a history of having partners, wives, like on the shorter side, 5'4", 5'3". Nothing wrong with that, of course, nothing at all. But I decided this time, let me see what it's like to get a woman of 5'10" or 5'11", whatever. And I didn't put that down. So I got Annie, 5'1".
I love it. Great.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't. And that's something too, that sometimes that the physical part is things like height or weight, those kind of things aren't always the most important. I mean, you got everything you wanted, and you would not trade her for someone who was 5'10". There's
no way in the world. No way in the world. But actual hard-faced tips about manifesting, the other big thing is keep focused, talking, writing, viewing what you want and not what you don't want. Simple as that. Let go of the 4 C's, criticizing, complaining. They're all blocks. One big thing is, for example, if you're looking to manifest more money, don't ever get in the habit of complaining about people who you think have too much money and they got it for nothing. Like they'll very often say these footballers, who some of them are earning £500,000 a week now, and we always say, oh, that's fantastic, that's great. Why is it fantastic? Because they spend that on a mega car. Somebody makes all the bolts and nuts and the tires and everything. That's all giving those people a living. So, and it's not trying to be a goody two-shoes, but it's making sure you don't go down the emotional scale by complaining about it, because that's going to put a block into you receiving, whatever you're receiving. And in the end of the day, any lack is only a lack of connection to your inner self, your divine self, is a reflection. So keep connected with your spiritual self.
Wow.
That's why I love the name SpiritualSingles.
Thank you. Well said. Yes, because that's a really good piece. Because if we're focusing on someone else's wealth as a great example, and and feeling jealous or envious or like,
Just
man,
critical.
critical. Yeah. Like, how did they get it? Oh, they just inherited it, or anything negative is not going to, it doesn't help raise our vibration. It doesn't bring us into joy. And we need to be in that grateful, joyful, welcoming space to manifest and to bring things to us. So it makes total sense. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
I have a little one that I use, and it's called FAB.
Okay.
Forgive, appreciate, and bless.
That's it.
Oh,
Really seriously, if you go around, you forgive anyone for anything.
Everything.
That never really happened. Appreciate absolutely everything in your life, even the things that appear not to be beneficial, and bless people. If you go around blessing people all day, you just see what happens. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
wow. Forgive, appreciate, and bless.
Fab, the Fabs.
Fab. That is powerful. Oh my gosh. You
And
guys
we have a lovely tool where anything appears to be bad news,
Yeah.
whatever it may be, about anything,
Yeah.
we clench our fists and go, I'm so excited to see the good that's coming out of this. I'm so excited to see the good that's coming out of this. I'm so excited. And it works. The subconscious mind says, wow, there's something good out of it. I'll make sure something good comes out of it. But it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, the universe scrambles to fulfill whatever we put out there, right? So it's like
Yep.
attracts like. So yeah, only good will come out of it. That's fantastic. And you're excited to see the good that's coming towards you from
That's
whatever that experience was. Yes. Wow. Wow. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
for-
Thank you, Jill. Thank you for all you're doing, because
Oh, you do a wonderful job.
the world needs it. You
Oh
know?
my goodness.
I mean, people are looking for peace around them and all the rest of it, but they'll never find peace until there's peace in the individual. All the time there's not peace. Try not to, seek not to change the world. Seek not to change the world. Seek only to change your mind about the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a really good point too. I mean, you guys are just loaded this is so good about finding the peace within ourselves while we're single, while we're manifesting our beloved. We are peaceful and happy and grateful and enjoying our life and just getting the most out of everything, because when we're in that state, then we're attractive, right? That's when the beloved goes, oh, wow, look at her, look at him. Wow, they're really enjoying their life. They're doing good things. And I want to be part of that.
Yeah. And there's, get away from the belief that other person is going to make you feel good. You are whole already. So you get in touch with your wholeness. Like that people say, oh, my other half, or some of them even say my better half. They don't realize a half times a half is a quarter.
There you go.
Yeah,
One to one, one by one is a whole.
Yeah. I think that was one of the reasons that we managed to become a good couple very early on, because both of us knew that we weren't in a relationship to make the other person whole or feel better, and that life was not going to be good without them. We, as you say, life was good for both of us individually already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like the old Jerry Maguire, movie where they're saying, oh, will you complete me? Like, no, come to the table complete first. and add and enhance each other's lives. There's no completion needed here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys would like to share before we wrap it up?
I think I would like to share how much John has enriched my life. I mean, that's been the glory. We have had such fun together. And to realize you can still have that, even though you've been widowed, you've had that sort of tragedy, out of it has come, an amazing relationship.
Yeah.
And thank you for finding him for me.
And you the same. Annie has enriched my life. I've never experienced, it's just been magical. And the one thing I would like to do to all the viewers, everything, is always keep positive and hopeful. And remember that a relationship that's ended is not a failed relationship. There is no such thing as a failed relationship. Forget that. It's been a learning experience for both of you. And once you make sure that you get into a place of forgiveness, acceptance, and appreciation for whatever that relationship did for you, it may have made you stand up for yourself and leave the relationship. And that's what it was for.
Right.
If you were a doormat, for example. So just remember, you've never failed in your relationship. You've just gone for lessons. And no matter how many lessons there are, it's never too late to have a wonderful relationship.
Hear, hear. Yes, thank you. That's so beautiful. I love it. Yes. And for everybody watching, thank you for being part of this success story interview series. And if you've enjoyed this interview, which I know you have, please give it the thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and come back, because I'm going to be doing many more beautiful interviews. And these two lovely lovelies are just thank you guys for being here and for sharing your story with everybody, because it's so inspiring and you're so beautiful. And I really, really appreciate you.
Yeah, same.
Thank you
Lovely.
very
Thank you
much.
so much for all you're doing, Jill. It's been
Thank you,
beautiful.
guys.
Thank you.